Hey Sunny Hill, welcome back. Today is Thursday and we are looking at Galatians 5 verse 13 through 26, um, which is quite a famous passage. As you know, it's the fruit of the Spirit passage. But I think that Paul really draws out two key kind of aspects. He focuses in on two key things in this section. The first is living in a community of believers. So verses sort of 13, 14, 15. It says, "Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh, rather serve one another humbly in love. Love your neighbour as yourself, and if you bite and devour each other, watch out or you will be destroyed by each other." These things are very hard to do. I think so often we ignore the difficulty that happens when it, like, in fulfilling what God asks us to do. We're just like, oh yeah, we're supposed to love, and so when there isn't something that is loving, when something happens that is a big issue, there's judgment thrown in, like, why didn't you show love, why didn't you show peace, why weren't you gentle? But it is hard. Going to Morelands proved to me how difficult it is to live in community and to be around, especially around believers, because you disagree, you argue, you sort of nitpick, and you expect higher from people because they are Christians, but ultimately we're all human. And so it is difficult, but Paul recognises, he says, watch out or you'll be destroyed by one another. It's though so often in churches we see that it's those little arguments that just spiral out of control, and they cause such division, and they can break down churches. They can push people out of church and out of the Christian community. And actually, community is so important because so much of our lives are based around relationship. So yeah, I think it's important to look at that and to be self-aware in the interactions that we have with people in our community, making sure that we aren't biting at people, that we're not showing judgment, but that we are constantly thinking about the way we're acting and the way we're presenting ourselves, which is the fruit of the Spirit. It is, are we showing love? Are we showing peace? Are we being kind and faithful and gentle? That is all a part of self-control, of self-awareness, and it's such a strong quality to kind of to gain and to learn from. So yeah, I think that's really important. And then the second point is this aspect of personal devotion. We need to keep in step with the Spirit. It says in verse 25, I think, that Paul is addressing that the fruit of the Spirit is all these great things, but fruit, to push the metaphor further, needs the right soil to begin to thrive and to begin to flourish, and that comes through, I guess it's two parts. The first is, I think, that the right soil is, so often we think about it as discipline. I was in a leadership conference yesterday that Wayne and Ruth were speaking at, and in one of the electives someone spoke about how often we think that to formulate or to cultivate the fruit of the Spirit, it involves like discipline. It's that strict discipline. We need to be reading our Bible for 3 hours a day and praying and doing this and this. And while all those things are important, actually when we push them as strict discipline, the why, the reason, the person behind why we do these things gets lost, and people can feel intimidated and pushed away, when actually I think the person was saying yesterday that actually the heart of this is surrender. The heart of cultivating the fruit of the Spirit, the heart of this right soil comes through surrendering to God, surrendering to Him, and having that relationship and saying, God, I want to pursue you above all. There's an intentionality in it, this idea of choosing first and foremost to pursue God, and then out of that come the disciplines of reading the Bible, and out of that come the disciplines of prayer, like regular prayer, and those are the things that are like watering the soil, that are helping to cultivate this atmosphere within which the fruit of the Spirit can then thrive and can then flourish. So long metaphor, might be quite confusing, but I guess what I'm trying to say is we need to begin with a heart of surrender, begin with bowing before God and saying, I choose you first and foremost, And then from that heart of love and from that place of surrender and desire to pursue God, come these disciplines, come this joy in reading God's word, this love in connecting with him in prayer, which then impacts the way we work with the people around us, which then helps us to show love, to show peace, to be gentle, to be controlled in what we're saying. So I hope that encourages you. I hope that makes sense. And I will see you tomorrow for our final section on Galatians.